All these people are making money and we're taking no blood. They're making money and we're taking no blood. Only problem we're going to have if we continue this stalemate is Lockheed is going to get a lot richer. Their profits are obscene right now. And Raytheon and Grumman, their profits are obscene. And let me assure you, those profits aren't going to the floor workers. They're going to the CEOs and COOs and CFOs and vice presidents.
I do always love, I mean, I'm glad, as I made clear earlier, I'm very glad he's speaking up, but I do always love when these people discover this stuff in like their 70s. They're like, there's people getting rich off the wars that we made, especially when they were involved in it. You know, he was Colin Powell's chief of staff back in the day. I always love it, like, or even Tucker Carlson. There was a video of Tucker Carlson, not on his show, like a small interview where he's like, I realized after 30 years in the media that it's not serving the people. It's like, what? How did it take you that long? How did it? Fuck that. It's like, yeah, I feel like it took me a long time, and I woke up when I was 26. Okay? I mean, really, really woke up. I woke up that the Iraq war was insane on day one, but I still thought that the two-party system mattered. And so all that bullshit. So I woke up out of that by 26 or whatever. And it's like, how were you were in cover, you were in the room watching these idiots. And you thought, I don't think our wars done by the U.S. are helping the peoples. And I think that at least the second half of the 20 years of bombing the shit out of Afghanistan was not done for the benefit of the children. I'm always amazed. It's like, how did it take that long? But that being said, I am glad he's picking out Sal. I should stop criticizing the man. But something else I want to say, which he's about to say, and I'll let you see that. But is that first he's talking about the profits. There is obscene profits in this proxy war, right? Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, all the weapons manufacturers. The problem with that, thinking that's the cause of this proxy war, is there's a lot of left-wing leftists who seem to think that's why we're in this proxy war, is that weapons contractors make a lot of money. That's not the real reason we're in this proxy war. Sure, it's a nice benefit. The U.S. knows it always needs to be at war in order to keep, like a sixth of the economy going, or whatever amount is in these weapons and weapon contractors, et cetera, and the military, et cetera. But that's not the real cause of the proxy war in Ukraine. We could bomb islands somewhere and achieve that. It's as I've talked about a lot, it has to do with the waning power of the petrodollar, the splitting of the world's economies, and mainly trying to shut off Russia from coordinating with Europe, and to put Europe back into a vassal system beneath the United States. And sure enough, luckily, he says that as well coming up in this clip.
It's obscene, the money they're making. They're beating ExxonMobil now, and that is a sin. That's a cardinal sin, all this money. And that's one of the reasons we're there. We're there because all these people are making money and we're taking no blood. They're making money and we're taking no blood. And also, we're there to reestablish our hegemony over the European Union, which was matching us in annual GDP, $23 trillion, and has now 740 million citizens. We don't want them to grow up and become independent of us. So we're using Ukraine to reestablish our hegemony over them. Germany is the one we're leading with, and Germany just had polls that show 62% of the German people want this conflict over now. Not only that, Germany's energy costs now, since we took out Nord Stream, Germany's energy costs are 9 to 10 times greater than they were when they were getting Russian gas. And Russian gas was far cleaner than the dirty frack gas they're now getting from the Permian Basin.
So another key moment in these videos is you have former heads of U.S. state. This guy was the top of Colin Powell's group. He had a lot of other positions in government. You have former heads of the U.S. ruling elite admitting that the U.S. took out the Nord Stream pipeline. And it's good to see this. But yet again, this is the type of thing where many of us have been talking about it for months, ever since Seymour Hersh reported it. Many of us said it was likely the U.S. to begin with, even before the Seymour Hersh bombshell article. But yet again, this stuff, many of us in the independent media who are suppressed, or at minimum left out of the mainstream media, would never be allowed on the mainstream media. Many of us say these things, and it's called crazy for several months until it's ultimately admitted. We're seeing this with Russiagate. We're seeing this with the Hunter Biden laptop story. We're seeing this with the U.S. Proxy war history of Ukraine and the history of NATO. We're seeing this with the Cuban audio cricket attacks on the U.S., which the CIA has now admitted were not a Cuban weapon, special acoustic weapon that gave mild headaches to diplomats. You see this with so many things. I'm sure you guys can think of dozens that I've left out, but where it's Epstein is another one, all right, which I'm about to talk more about that. It happens again and again and again and again, where we are out front revealing these things, saying either no one's talking about it, or they're getting it wrong, or they're getting it wrong intentionally. And then, and we are suppressed, we're attacked. And then we see the truth and it's revealed, and the mainstream media ignores it, like they're doing with everything that's come out about Russiagate just in the past 2 months, as they're doing with the Twitter files that have revealed how fake all this stuff was. They leave all their articles up. You can go up and you can look right now and find all the CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, whatever articles about how real Russiagate is. And as it's all falling apart, they leave it all there. They don't post a retraction. They don't give you an I'm sorry. And it should let everyone know to stop watching those networks and to move on. But that's how powerful propaganda is, when it's just wallpapers the world, when it's on every screen, every moment, every audio wave is filled with it. People just believe it anyway.
In Texas. So Germany's not going to take this much longer. But we're going to wind up severing the transatlantic link and destroying NATO. I'm not so sure I wouldn't be in favor of that. But that's going to be the end result of this if we're not careful, because we're alienating our own most powerful allies in this process. Let it go on another year or two to make Lockheed a few more trillion, and we'll have alienated the Europeans considerably more. So it needs to stop immediately.
All right, so there you go. Lawrence Wilkerson admitting all of these things that I and many others have been saying for months and months and months. It is kind of ironic, though, that he's saying, this is harming the U.S. empire. This is severing ties between, although it has succeeded in pushing Europe back into a vassal state system beneath the United States, it also seems to be pushing towards a more severing of ties by various factions in Europe, severing of ties by, of course, China, but severing of ties by many other countries, India, Pakistan, Brazil. Slow. I don't mean they're cutting all ties, but I mean they're moving away from the petrodollar, from the U.S., which harms the U.S. empire, which is the reason people as horrific and disgusting and just Lucifer's asshole level like Kissinger have also said that this proxy war in Ukraine needs to end immediately, because they realize it's harmful to the U.S. empire. Now, here's the thing. I might actually support something that decreases the power the power by the U.S. empire, the harm done by the U.S. empire. I might actually support such a thing, except that I'm anti-war. So I don't want to see all the people of Ukraine turned into either grave sites or refugees. I don't want to see that. in order for me to, get what I want, the decrease in U.S. empire control. I also don't, there's immense harm in myriad ways that war causes, not just to humans, but environmentally. Also, it pushes towards nuclear war, in which case we all, I'd say, suffer. I'm going, because nuclear war, I feel like when you're on fire and you're kissing your genitals goodbye, I feel like that's a bad day. I'm going to go bad day on that one. So anyway, in case you needed to hear it from someone who held a higher government position than I ever have, everything I've been saying about the Ukraine proxy war is true, continues to be true. And now we're getting it from more and more former ruling elite, for lack of a better term, former ruling class, former deep state, etc.